This week, boys and girls in first class, you would have seen a lot of questions in your Work It Out maths book like this. Show half an hour later. I'm going to show you how you can use this online tool at visnos.com to help you tell the time half an hour later or earlier. First thing I'm going to do is make my clock look exactly like the clock on my workbook. So my long hand is pointing to 6. When it's pointing to 6, that means half past. My shorthand is pointing between 9 and 10, so I have it between 9 and 10. The clock is currently showing 9:30. You can see it up here on my digital clock, 9:30, which is the same as 9:30. But that's not my activity. I have to go a step further and show half an hour later. When I'm asked to show later, I move my long hand clockwise around the clock. So it's turning this way. That is when I'm showing later. So if I'm to go back to 9:30, I've reached it and I have to show half an hour later. When my long hand is at 6 and I'm showing half an hour later, it will always land on 12. If my long hand starts at 12 and I'm showing half an hour later, it will always show or land on 6. That's because it's half of the circle. A clock is a circle, just like you drew yesterday. So I'm moving my long hand back up to 12. And where do I land? At 12, which means o'clock. But what has happened to my shorthand? It's moved halfway to 10. So now what time is it, boys and girls? It is 10 o'clock. And then this is what you draw on the clock on the right hand side of your question. My long hand goes to 12 and my shorthand goes to 10. Do you see that there, boys and girls? Excellent. Let's do another one together. Show half an hour earlier. Well, my long hand is at 12 and my shorthand is at 5. So I'm going to move my shorthand to 5. And now I can see up here I am at 5 o'clock. When I'm trying to find out earlier time, I move my long hand anti-clockwise. So the opposite way to earlier, anti-clockwise. Okay? So I'm just moving it back to 5 now. Half an hour earlier. So remember, boys and girls, when I said if your long hand is at 6 and you're moving it half an hour earlier or later, you will always land at 12. If your long hand is starting at 12 and you're moving it half an hour earlier or later, you will always land at 6 because it's just moving it to half the circle. It asked me for earlier, so I'm moving my long hand anti-clockwise and stopping at 6. Now my long hand has landed at 6, which means half past, and my shorthand is in between 4 and 5, which means half past 4, because it's not yet reached 5 o'clock yet. And you can see it up on my digital clock here too. So now I will write draw my long hand to 6 and my short hand between 4 and 5. I hope that helps you, boys and girls. It's just an option if you're finding it a tricky question at home. Best of luck!